Let's listen to the next verse.
وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسه وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك قال معاذ الله إنه ربي أحسن مثواي إنه لا يفلح الظالمون.
And she, in whose house he was, seduced him towards herself, and bolted the doors, and said, Come on. He said, I seek refuge with Allah. Surely, he, your husband, is my master. He has given me a good lodging. Indeed, the wrongdoers do not prosper.
وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَّأَىٰ بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ.
She certainly desired him, and he might have desired her, had he not seen the proof from his Lord. Thus we did, to turn evil and lewdness away from him. Surely, he was one of our chosen servants.
The verse 23 and 24, these two verses describe the character and the morals of the story. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing that she felt attracted towards him. She was in extremely so much in him that she wanted to have a out of wedlock relation with him, and she locked the doors. And when obviously this young man was in the home who was so beautiful, she did not know he's a prophet of God. She just knew that he is my husband's servant. And I'm sure you must have heard the stories about what happened in rich families. And these are one of the things which happens. It is again not something happening today. It has happened 3,000-4,000 years ago. So the woman, when he tempted him, she locked the door. And when she asked him to come and have relation with him, he says, he's a prophet of God. He says, Ma'azallah, Auzubillah. You seek the protection of Allah. So this word is very important. Prophet ﷺ said, if I'm not sure if I was in place of Yusuf alayhi salam, I would have been tempted too. In other words, Prophet himself is saying temptation is there as a human. We are all human, and this is why Islam says a man, woman alone, the third there is a shaitan. There should be a distance. So وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ. So then she certainly desired him. وَهُمْ وَهَمَّ بِهَا. And then he might have desired her. لَوْلَا أَنْ أَرَّى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. This word is very important. According to some interpretation, he also felt for a moment weakening in his desire of commitment not to do haram. Allah says, we showed him our sign. Lawla an ra burhana Rabbi. Jibreel Islam, according to some scholar, appeared and showed him this is not what you should be doing. كَذَلِكَ لِنُصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ. And this is how we turn evil and vulgarity and obscenity. إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Indeed, he was in our chosen servant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects the Prophet. Prophet are innocent, they do not commit sin. So this is why in Islam, a thought of doing wrong is not a sin. Action of doing is a sin. And one sin is one sin, and seeking repentance and doing a good deed instead wipes out the sin. It's not a time to go in detail, but just one thing to know. If a person has committed sin, do not publicize your mistake, because Allah has kept a secret, so you should keep a secret and seek the forgiveness of Allah. If a non-Muslim have done a major sin, such as fornication and extramarital physical relation, they should go as a non-Muslim, they should declare Shahada, and their sin will be wiped out, and they become Muslim and not to commit the sin again. And if a Muslim does such sin, there's supposed to be only one way to wipe out their sin: seek repentance, tawbah, istighfar, and go for Hajj to be a newborn and forgiven from the sin. This is what the scholar have interpreted in the fiqh, just for the knowledge. So when he was trying to run away from her, she had locked in the doors. According to some scholar, there were 7 doors, and she locked them and locked him in there. And as he ran, each door was opening up till the last door when she reached him. And at that time, she grabbed him from his back of the shirt. And when she grabbed it and the door opened up, her husband was outside the door, and he witnessed that what's going on. And when she saw the husband, when she was dressed to lure him, and he said, what's going on? And she said, what would you do a person who was trying to have a bad intention towards your family? And then she totally turned the story around and accused Yusuf al-Islam of tempting her or trying to rape her. And that's what the story turns again in different way. And again, we'll inshallah discuss. Let's listen to the next of the ayah, verse number 25. So important point is, a prophet Muhammad said, I would have been tempted, and Yusuf al-Islam was tempted. He was about to fall from his grace, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him the sign, and Allah shows sign to anybody who is seeking the tawbah. May Allah protect us and shield us and guard us and our children till the day of judgment from such sin, which is mentioned as not to be committed by anybody. It's the harshest punishment in Islam is a extramarital sexual relation, to be stoned to death. And this is very harsh. There's no punishment. Even the shirk and the kufr is not that much punishable than this action. And this is why Muslims are very protective of their women, because they can be tempted and men can be tempted always.
واستبق الباب وقدت قميصه من دبر وألف يا سيدها لدى الباب قالت ما جزاء من أراد بأهلك سوءا إلا أن يسجن أو عذاب أليم.
They raced towards the door, and she ripped his shirt from behind, and they found her master by the door. She said, what could be the punishment of him who intended evil with your wife, except that he be imprisoned or given a painful chastisement?
قال هي راودتني عن نفسي وشهد شاهد من أهلها إن كان قميصه قد من قبل فصدقت وهو من الكاذبين.
He, Yusuf, said, it was she who tried to seduce me. And a witness from her family observed that if his shirt was ripped from the front side, then she is true and he is a liar.
وإن كان قميصه قد من دبر فكذبت وهو من الصادقين.
And if his shirt was ripped from behind, then she is telling a lie and he is truthful.
فلما رأى قميصه قد من دبر قال إنه من كيدكن إن كيدكن عظيم.
So, when he, her husband, saw his shirt ripped from behind, he said, this is certainly your trickery, O women. Great is the trickery of you women indeed.
يوسف.
So verse 25 to 28, there are some more, many stories are coming. So when he was running and opened the door, they found the master standing there, and then she suddenly, as I mentioned, that she wanted him to be, to be punished for not doing what she wanted. So what she said is that what should be the punishment of this kind of a sinner, because she thought that, her husband might become angry and might kill him. So she wanted him to be chastised or prison. So she wanted to make sure that he does not get killed, because she still had a love for him. So then Yusuf al-Islam said that it is she who tried to seduce me. It is not, and the witness from her family observed that if the shirt is ripped from the back or the front. So what happened is, this is one of the three incidents which is mentioned about a baby, an innocent baby witness about that. So when they asked the baby that spoke, not that Yusuf is innocent or she is innocent, the baby said there's a logic described that if the shirt is ripped from the back, it means she is guilty. If the shirt is ripped from the front, means he is guilty. So that was obviously understood. Now, the husband understood, and he is a powerful man in the country. He's very strong in the position, and she is a royalty. So now it is becoming an honor-saving thing now. The family wanted to keep the secret. Nobody would know about it. Apparently, people like to talk, and this story got leaked out, and she probably shared this one with her friend, and the friend talked to the other friend, and there's a close circle, and then the report of such thing that is a beautiful or whatever thing, she fell for a slave. Apparently, the story was a princess or a royal family or rich family woman. She was apparently one of the most beautiful women in the country. So this thing was becoming a now family honor. So for that reason, the slave was supposedly is a disposable property. So Yusuf al-Islam proved his point, but he was quiet at this time. And then she is still trying to prove herself to be not guilty. So now what is happening here is that a child have testified. The other story where a baby, a newborn infant testified was Jurej. Jurej was a man. He was in Children of Israel, and he apparently did not, he disobeyed mom, or something happened with his mother. He was a very righteous, pious man, apparently of a prophetic level. And Jurej, when he did something, his mom was just displeased, and she said, "You may not see death till you see a prostitute's face." It was mean that you would be accused for something. And what happened was Jurej was a righteous, pious person. People love and respect him, as it happened with every religious person. And apparently a woman who was of not a good character was basically as a whore, and she was hired by somebody who was jealous of Jurej, and asked her to accuse Jurej for the pregnancy she got out of wedlock. When the baby was born, she came to the people and she said, Jurej is the one who is father of this child. And everybody turned on him. They said, whoa, you did such a crime. You religious people, you often do this thing, and blah, blah, blah. At that moment, Jurej asked Allah to save him from this false accusation. So the baby testified, and the baby spoke, my father is that shepherd, not Jurej. And when the baby spoke, that was the testimony, was approved and accepted by everybody. And the property or the house or shack where he was to live was destroyed. They rebuilt it. And that's what the story about it. And there's another third story I just can't recall. Inshallah, we'll talk about. So this is the moment where a newborn baby spoke from the family of Pharaoh. This is very unusual. This child prophet, who was the most beautiful man, sold for the counterfeit currency. His brother hated him. Nobody likes him. And then he is in prophecy, and he is supposed to be the chosen one, son of a prophet, of a prophet, of a prophet. I mean, this is what life is all about. Allah knows best. So we need to learn, be patient, and to be righteous all along. We cannot just complain and blame Allah for us. Allah has a better destiny for us, because it will show how this man is remembered in the history of humanity by all the scriptures and the Quran included. So let's listen to the verse 29. Then what happened?
يوسف أعرض عن هذا واستغفري لذنبك إنك كنت من الخاطئين.
O Yusuf, ignore this matter, and you, O woman, seek forgiveness for your sin, for you were guilty in fact.
وقال نسوة في المدينة امرأة العزيز تراود فتاها عن نفسه قد شغفها حبا إنا لنراها في ضلال مبين.
And women in the city said, the wife of the minister is seducing her youthful slave. His love has entered the depth of her heart. Surely, we see her in open error.
فلما سمعت بمكرهن أرسلت إليهن وأعتدت لهن متكأ وآتت كل واحدة منهن سكينا وقالت اخرج عليهن فلما رأينه أكبرنه وقطعن أيديهن وقلن حاش لله ما هذا بشرا إن هذا إلا ملك كريم.
So, when she heard of their taunting comments, she extended an invitation to them and arranged for them a comfortable place to sit and dine, and gave everyone a knife, and said to Yusuf, come out to them. So when they saw him, they found him great, and were so stunned that they cut their hands and said, O God, he is no human being. He is but a noble angel.
قالت فذلكن الذي لمتنني فيه ولقد راودته عن نفسه فاستعصم ولئن لم يفعل ما آمره ليسجنن وليكون من الصاغرين.
She said, this is the one about whom you reproached me. Yes, I seduced him, but he abstained. And should he not follow my command, he shall be imprisoned and will be disgraced.
So, these last three verses, when the women start gossiping about that the wife of the minister is in temptation and love for this slave they have, and before this, when they found that in the verse 29, the king or the minister, when he found that the wife was in error, so he said, seek forgiveness of your sin. And then the verse 30th, then وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ امْرَأَةُ الْعَزِيزِ تراود فتاها عن نفسه. So the women in the city, where they said the wife of minister is seducing her slave, and it was kind of a very insulting, that because the blood and the lineage and the heritage and the status. So they were saying that his love has entered in the depth of her heart, and they said that she was in error. So she wanted to prove her point that what is Yusuf alayhi salam is, because Yusuf alayhi salam apparently would not be coming out or just showing these women what it was like. It's because it was something happening in the home. So when she heard of this comment, so she invited all of those ladies, or the rich women or whatever, the friends or circle which she had, and give them an apple accordingly, and then give them knives in their hands. And she requested Yusuf alayhi salam to come in front of them. And they were not aware of what Yusuf alayhi salam looked like. Apparently he was such a stunning beauty and had a look that these women cut their fingers while they were looking at him, and they said, Hasha lillah. They said, Wallah, this is Hasha lillah, ma haza illa, ma haza basharun. Means, in haza illa malakun kareem. When they said, oh God, this is not a human, it's such a noble angel appearance, because he did not look at them. In Quran commands men to keep his gaze down when he comes to a woman and he talked to them, so that he would not have temptation, because man has more temptation in his eyes than the woman. And because obviously the women are also commanded to not look at the gaze at the men unless this is of their own known. So this is where it is, when he did not look at those women, and they saw that his face was enlightened, brightened with the nur of Allah, and he's a prophet of Allah, and he's the most handsome man according to the Quran. And again, some people compare the beauty of Prophet Muhammad with the beauty of Yusuf alayhi salam, and one of the companions says that I look at the moon and I look at you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I see you are more beautiful than the moon. And Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said that in one of the hadiths that people talk about the beauty of Yusuf alayhi salam. Had they seen Muhammad's beauty, they would know how beautiful and handsome he was. So at this time, this was proven that he was not at the sin of temptation, and she's also again threatening that if he would not do what she wanted him to do, she's going to have him be jailed. You see, this is when the people are in error and they do not see their mistake. They are stubborn about it. She should have understood, even though she was proven to her husband that she was in error, and everybody understood that she's in error, but her, what you call craziness about this man was so much that she said he has to seduce, otherwise I will put him in prison. And this is what she did. And she will disgrace him, because now she's more angry at him and revengeful that he mocked her, insulted her, and now she got her name being defamed and whatnot. But she still was in so much madly in love with him, she was willing to jeopardize her status and everything. So then next conversation begins here.
قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين.
He, Yusuf, said, My lord, the prison is dearer to me than what these women invite me to do. If you do not turn their guile away from me, I shall get inclined towards them and shall be among the ignorant.
فاستجاب له ربه فصرف عنه كيدهن إنه هو السميع العليم.
So, his Lord accepted his prayer and turned their guile away from him. Surely, he is the all-hearing, the all-knowing.
ثم بدا لهم من بعد ما رأوا الآيات ليسجننه حتى حين.
Later on, even after having seen the clear signs of his innocence, they deemed it proper to imprison him for some time.
So the verse 33 is talking about that Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was seeing that these women are tempting him, and according to the narration, or the interpretation, these women, when they saw him and they cut their own hand, so the Zulaikha was the name mentioned in the about this lady, the wife of the minister. She told this woman, "Do you think I fell in love with this man for no reason? Look at this. You cut your hand. You don't even realize that how stunning, a beautiful man is this." And then she said, "I will continue to tempt him. Unless he does what I want him to do, I'm going to have him in the jail." So these women went and individually tried to seduce him by themselves, or to ask him to do what this woman is asking for. And he did not look at them. He did not respond to them. At that time, he made the dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Ya Allah, if I remain in this place, they're going to keep tempting on me, and I may, even though I'm firm in my conviction, but human error can happen." So he said, if I'm away from them, his only safe place was to be in the prison, because if he's out in the town, he would not leave because he is owned by this master. And then only place was for him was the jail. So he asked for the God to accept his prayer to put him in the jail. And this is also was the minister, the husband of Zulaikha, understood that this thing is really a problem now. So he asked Yusuf alayhi salam that for his own sake of his name and honor, he better go for a short while into prison. And that will be the only way that this story could cool off. So Yusuf alayhi salam made the dua, and the king understood it, or the minister, a husband of Zulaikha, understood it. And this was something Yusuf alayhi salam thought, that is the only salvation when I'm in the prison. And in those days, when the prison is, once you go in the prison, they forget about you. So this is, we'll stop it here. And he was in the prison not because of his crime, because of the supplication and for saving the grace for the minister. This is verse number 36. Inshallah, we'll begin next Sunday. It's been very interesting and very, very, very moving story. Every step of the way, it is very, Allah says himself, it's a beautiful story. Ahsan al-Qasas, one of the most interesting stories. So many turns happening in the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. We could see this is happening. With this, I will stop. And inshallah, if you have any question, any comment, we will discuss. Otherwise, inshallah, we'll begin same time next Sunday. Assalamu alaikum.